The second main stop for our Thanksgiving trip was Myakka River State Park near Sarasota. This amazing 37,000-acre park lets you get up close and personal with all sorts of Florida wildlife. If you don't want to get too close, you can see a lot just driving through on the 7-mile road. But I camped there. And although I was visiting family too, I had plenty of time to watch all sorts of birds and other wildlife. Randy was with me on the drive from Fort White to Sarasota. We stopped and picked up a rental car for him because he had to drive to Miami the next day, and we got to see some family that we hadn't seen in a while.
All right, so we just stopped at Ron's Cafe here in, I'm not sure where we are, south of Chiefland, middle of Florida. It's like an intriguing looking little exit side door for the lounge over here, and over here we have an alligator. Anyway, I'm gonna go in and wait for food. It's pretty popular. Okay, it is picnic time. Found a little park just a mile or two down the road.
This park turned out to be on the Withlacoochee Trail, yet another project for another day, a 46-mile paved rail trail.
Hey!
Ron's Cafe in English.
I know. They gave us a fork, like a real fork. Because they didn't have any plastic ones. That's kind of nice. Expensive for them. I guess they don't get many to-go orders.
It seems like in every little corner of this country, we're always finding something that makes us want to come back. And here it was this amazing sounding trail. We didn't have time that day, plus we had the dogs. We wanted to go visit family before we set up camp in Sarasota.
Well, it's 9 o'clock and we're finally set up. Turns out there's 2 entrances to this park, and it's really hard to find the right one in the dark. But we eventually did, and we had to dump on the way in too.
Yeah.
There's Pepper, help us make the bed.
I have to disturb her.
All right.
Time for me to pack up and get on the road.
Yep. Yeah, it's my first solo camping adventure.
Yep.
Actually, ever. No, that's not true. No, probably ever, because I always had a girl with me. At least Mimi or Corinna. I think one time I didn't have both of them, but
Yeah.
when we were doing that Girl Scout Learn to Camp stuff.
So you're gonna be, today's Monday.
I don't have to move much, just the one time on Thursday.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'll just be here, which is really pretty.
Yeah.
There, Maggie, we went outside for a minute without them, and look at the coffee that Maggie spilled.
Maggie's licking her lips.
Yep.
She likes her some coffee.
Maggie, you're going to be wide awake today, huh? Better go to the beach. Pepper. You having fun? Oh, you are.
This was a fun dog beach, but it was a little confusing. When you first arrive at the park, it looks like just a regular dog park. You see the fenced-in area. You have to go through that park, and then there's a walkway to the beach. I almost gave up before I finally saw people coming with their dogs back from the beach and realized what was going on.
The other campsite is called Palmetto Ridge Campground. And that one looks more appealing to me for winter camping. It's bigger sites, but not as much shade. Where I am at Old Prairie, sites are tight, but they're nice and shady. They'd be great for summer.
Other camping area, closer to the north entrance, closer to the concessions, with the boat rides, bike rentals. There are 90 campsites in the park, and I was pretty happy with my experience, except the water wasn't drinkable. When I was there, they would provide gallons of water for you. You just had to go to the ranger station and pick it up. I tried finding a place to fill my water tanks using iOverlander, and it didn't work. I did find a spigot in a park somewhere, but it did not have any water coming out of it. Okay, so that was a bit of a pain, but it was a small price to pay to be at this amazing place. Look at the deer frolicking out there on the dry prairie. Wow, how fun. Most of the wildlife I saw was either from walking the dogs on the main park road, or biking on the main park road, or just taking a stroll there myself. None of it required a long hike far away from other people. The animals there are so used to the tourist. It was an easy and enjoyable bike ride from the campground up to Upper Myakka Lake, where there are boat tours and there's a little cafe and gift shop. You can sometimes rent kayaks and canoes there too. This park is known for its great paddling trails. And honestly, it's also known for alligators. I wasn't trying to see as many alligators as I could. I'm just not that interested. I'd rather watch birds. But when you're at Myakka River State Park, you can't avoid seeing some alligators. So I probably made it pretty clear I'm not a fan of alligators, but I do like some reptiles, and I enjoyed watching this turtle as she very carefully laid her eggs. But of course, the animals I most enjoyed seeing were probably the birds. And the most spectacular birds I saw were actually vultures. I know vultures aren't warm and cuddly, but one night I walked up to the lake around sunset and saw a flock of hundreds getting ready to roost for the night. This was one of those magical evenings where I thought to myself that if I had traveled for thousands and thousands of miles to get somewhere to see a congregation of wild animals as impressive as these vultures, I would have thought it was money well spent and worth the effort of traveling. And here it was, in Florida, so close to me. And it was also just a beautiful evening. With the breeze blowing, it wasn't hot, it wasn't cold. It was that perfect Florida winter day. That same night, I got to watch a flock of roseate spoonbills and some black-necked stilts hanging out and doing their comical things. This park is really set up well for birding. There's actually a platform, if you don't paddle to get onto the lake, there's a viewing platform called the Bird Walk, and they have birding experts who stand out there during the day to give you help finding the birds and identifying the birds. After this beautiful, peaceful evening of bird watching, though. Okay, so I just took the dogs for their early evening walk, just after dark, and there was an RV just across the way with a fire. The table outside of right up against the RV, they put a candle on it and gone back inside, and it was on fire. So I was able to get someone else to go and tell them because I didn't want to get the dogs too close to the fire. And they put it out, but that was, or they were putting it out. That was almost a real disaster right here in the campground. On a brighter and less dramatic note, the park has 39 miles of trails, and it has one interesting feature, a canopy walkway. I walked it twice, once before the rain, when the resurrection ferns were all brown, and once after the rain, when the resurrection ferns had turned green. Hi, what's your name?
Frisco.
Frisco. Is Frisco a Himalayan? Aren't you beautiful? Are you having a good trip, Frisco? Yeah. Thank you. The canopy walkway is only 25 feet high and about 100 feet long, but it's really worth doing. It just gives you a different perspective on the forest. So this is the canopy walkway here, and it's not huge. It's sort of interesting that they have this map. I see it's the Tree Foundation. I guess they put this together. And I'm really surprised that there's one up in the Arctic. So the picture on the left is from before the rain, when the resurrection ferns were dry and brown. And on the right, it's after the rain, when they were green and beautiful. After the walkway, there is an observation tower. You can go up higher to get more of a view, but given my fear of heights, I just skipped that part. Ooh, the bridge does sway a bit. Wow, isn't that beautiful? So Maggie and Pepper and I are going into Sarasota to find a dog park for them today. We had to leave Hank back at the camper, which is sad. He's getting too old to go, but he doesn't really like to be left. Anyway, he's also too cranky to go to dog parks. And then maybe we'll find a dog-friendly restaurant where we can eat lunch before I have to leave to go meet family later. The dog park was about all I did in Sarasota. But Myakka River State Park is close to Sarasota, and you could easily include the different sites of the city in your trip. I was busy visiting family members, so I actually made it up to St. Petersburg one day to visit some people who live up there. And that was a bit of a haul, but still very doable for a day trip. This is such a big Cuban sandwich. I definitely will not eat the whole thing. So, yumminess. The bread is not as crusty as some Cuban bread. I probably gonna like it better. It's not a medianoche, it's a Cuban. My dad always liked his Cuban sandwiches to be super crusty and hard. My 4 days at Myakka River were very easy to fill. I would go back and stay longer, take more of the trails, take a paddling trip, see more turkeys. So, I just finished my first solo trailer camping experience at Myakka River State Park, and it was pretty good. Didn't have any major mishaps yet, and I am on the way to Miami to pick up Randy, to meet him at a harvest host,
Dogs are all loaded, camper's all clean and packed, and here I go.
The drive across South Florida isn't that interesting, but in our next video, I'll share how Randy and I had one night together at a Harvest Host in Miami before I dropped him off on the new Brightline train so he could have a work day. While I drove to Orlando, he rode and worked. I am thankful for my time at Myakka River. The older I get and the more I travel, the more I appreciate my home state of Florida.